Okay, the final skill that we're going to cover will be what's called Skill 8, and it's where you can limit the rate of shooting of perhaps your hero in the game. And I'll just show you what I mean by that. If we've got our Pac-Man here and we want him to kill this bear over here, I can shoot multiple times. Really, it just depends on how quickly I can hit the space bar. So if you have a look at this, you'll see that I can fire off, 3, 4, 5 bullets in a second, and that in a game is probably a little bit unfair. So what we'll do is we'll limit the number of bullets the Pac-Man can fire by saying that he can only shoot, for example, once a second. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Let's go to our Pac-Man. And what we'll need to do is we'll need a variable here, and what the variable is going to do is we're going to set it up as if you can shoot, it's going to have a value of 1. If you can't shoot, it's going to have a value of 0. And then we'll switch that can shoot off and on from 0 and 1 by using an alarm. Okay, so let's just add our create event to our Pac-Man, and in that we're going to create ourselves a new variable. The variable will be, let's call it can shoot, and we'll give that a value of let's say give it a value of 1, which means that you can shoot, not relative, just give it a value of 1 if you can shoot. Then on our spacebar we'll test what the value of can shoot is. So variable can shoot. Now if that's equal to 1, okay, away you go, you can shoot. But once you've shot, we need to say no, you can't shoot again until the second's gone. So we're going to have to put this together in a bit of a block, and what we'll do is we will say if you can shoot, alright, we'll let you shoot, but then we're going to change the variable can shoot back to 0. Okay, so that means that when I press the spacebar, if I can shoot, I'll shoot, but then I won't be allowed to shoot. I'll say, no, you can't shoot again. And if we just leave it at that, what will happen, and if we just run this quickly, what happens, can shoot variable is 1 at the moment, which means that I can shoot, but I've turned his ability to shoot off by setting that variable, and that means as I'm hitting the spacebar now, nothing's happening. So we need to be setting up some sort of mechanism that will turn that can shoot variable back to 1 after a certain period of time. And what we've been doing with counting, if you remember our count downs and our counts up, we've been using an alarm. So on main 2, we'll get ourselves an alarm, and after we've said no, you can't shoot, we'll set the alarm for a second. So remember, we'll use that built-in variable called room_speed. Spell it correctly, speed. On alarm 0. Okay, so we've set our variable alarm to room speed. So this alarm will go off in 1 second. And what are we going to do when the alarm goes off? Can you think about it? We want to give our can shoot variable, or change our can shoot variable back to 1 so that he can shoot again. So on our event we'll go to we add the alarm 0 because that's when alarm 0 goes off, and when that happens we will get our variable, our can shoot variable, and give that the value of 1. So he can now shoot again. So let's just think about the process here. We've got a variable that says he can shoot. We give that 1, the value of 1, when he is able to shoot. Alright? So then when he does shoot, or hits the spacebar, we'll see if he's allowed to shoot. And of course, the first time you hit the spacebar, that will be equal to 1. So we'll shoot the bullet. But then we'll set the variable that he can't shoot. And set an alarm which is going to change can't shoot back to 1 when the alarm goes off. So when the alarm goes off, we set the variable to 1 so he can shoot again. The alarm's going off each second, which means that he can only shoot once a second. Okay, so I'll press that and run it. So I'll just move up beside this guy here because he's a nice example. Oop, there we go. So what I'm going to do now is hit the spacebar as quickly, multiple times as I can. So bang, 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 if that sounded right. And here we go. I don't know if you can hear the keyboard there, but I'm banging away at the keyboard, but it only shoots once each second. I'll just move down here to do that again, and I'll get the microphone down near the keyboard so that you can hear it. You'll hear when I hit the keyboard the first time that the bullet will fire, but then it waits that second even though I'm hitting the spacebar. Just listen. There goes the second, and there goes the third. Okay, so we're limiting the time between shots just to 1 second. If you wanted to make that more than 1 second, what would you do? That's right, you'd set the alarm for maybe room speed multiplied by 2, and that would mean that the alarm will only go off each 2 seconds, and that means the shooting would be reduced to once every 2 seconds. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. So there you go. So you can control the number of shots per second or per any period of time by setting yourself up a variable that says when you can shoot. You test the value, and then you set an alarm, which is the delay between the shot and the next shot. These sorts of variables that we're using here are called Boolean, and they're named after a man called George Boole, who was an English mathematician. And they work by testing whether something is true or false. And when it's true, you can do something, and when it's false, you can't. So that's how we create our variable that allows us to shoot just once every certain number of seconds. So don't forget, save as, and we're on to skill 8 now, which will be the final skill that we'll be doing before we get going and building our own game. So we'll save that as skill 8. And that's the end of that one.